This is okay. So we do have a live one in-house, and we have one for home. Do we? Do we have up who's on remote? I didn't see if that was on yours, Cat, or not. All right. All right. Well, we're playing with responder e-learn, so we're a couple minutes late. So if you would all rise, uncover, join me in a pledge allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening and welcome. It's time for our monthly OH-1 DMAT meeting and expose of great founding information from Washington. Got a pretty good turnout tonight. I do not know if we have anybody on remote. I think probably standing by on that. We have an honored guest here with us tonight, and before I introduce him, I would like to just kind of go over a little bit of housekeeping and a little bit of history. So remember safety. Our exits, exit out. We're going to gather in the parking lot out here off to your left. In case of bad weather, we shelter in place in here. Okay. You know, we've been here at Owens for quite a few years. We came over when we lost the HQ. What date was that, Scotty? So we've been here 8 years. Okay. We came here under the auspices of Dave Miramontes. I think he pretty much levered that into place with us because he was on staff here. We had office space, and we met over in the law enforcement fire building. That continued until that space was reallocated, and we then moved over to meet over here. And we've been doing so for a long, long time. And you all have heard me say time and time again that, we're squatters. I found out today really how true that was. We had lost our contacts after Bill Montre left and went back to fire service. And of course, I was given schedules of meeting dates of quote unquote etched in granite going from 2014 through 2015 through November of this year. Little did I know that, honestly, there were people that didn't know we were here. And it was just, and you know what? We are so good at what we do. I mean, this room has not been booked for us in 2015. We've come in here every month. We turn on the lights. Security has unlocked the doors if they've had to, but we come in, we turn on the lights, we set up, get ourselves all situated, we hook up, we do our meeting, we clean up our mess, we leave no trail, and we leave. And we were so good at it, nobody had any clue we were here. So that being said, and this epiphany came to my desk today, and I was just, gosh, we had some engaging conversations. Well, also too that one of the things that I wanted to do as representative of the team, and as a team, thank you back to the college, was to get a certificate from Washington for the college for CDP as a thank you for taking good care of us. They not only have they allowed us, whether willingly or unwillingly, to hold our meetings on campus, they've also provided us with the ability to store our federal equipment here. And we've had the cage over in the law enforcement fire building, and until all the space was allocated. And then Tom Harrell was kind enough to even find us another spot a year ago, July, and gave us another little niche where we were able to store what we had left of our federal cash. And so, this has been an ongoing relationship that's been very endearing. I think when you look at successful teams in the federal service, the teams that have been enduring have been teams that have had local support. Not only support from the employers, but also, from the institutions within the community, because every team really represents that community. I look around the room here, we have fire service represented, we have hospitals represented, we have a little bit of everybody. We cover the whole gamut within our communities. We have volunteer fire, we have city fire, we have EMS, we have administrative folks. We cover a lot of businesses within our community. And to have Owens step forward and provide us with a home, that's the one thing that, had we not had this, would not exist today. Because not having the ability to meet and to educate and to foster our familial relationship that we have as a team, and to remain mission ready to be able to go out the door, and to have a parking lot where we can all gather. Lord, okay, I got to stop for a second. I'll turn to the rear. We have another distinguished guest, just back from the United Arab Emirates. Welcome back, Doug. Good to see you. So anyhow, make a long story short, I had this presentation generated out of Washington at the school. You know that we've been trying to do this for a few months, and tonight we were successful in having Mr. Michael McDonald join us, who's the Executive Director of Operations and Office of Business Affairs for the college. And I would like to invite Mr. McDonald to come up and join me. If y'all would give him a round of applause. I'm really glad that you were able to come. Oh, so you guys know what the NDMS presentations look like. This is National Disaster Medical System Facility Certificate of Recognition. This is the Owens Community College, Toledo area campus. For your long-term support of the OH-1 DMAT, you're greatly indebted. The provision of a home for our team meetings, liquid storage, enables our team and our regional medical providers to remain mission ready and all hazards federal medical disaster response. Our community, region, state, and nation benefit from your ongoing partnership with our team, the OH-1
On behalf of Owens Community College, gladly accept this I would like to state that we didn't consider this water more like relatives that where let's show up this week. Happy to have you here at the meeting day. Thank you very much.
Oh, before you go. All right. Okie doke. So what do we want to talk about first tonight? Let me give you a brief update from HQ. There have been some changes at the very top, and this is news fresh off of the press, essentially. Dr. Andy Garrett has been accepted into a fellowship at the White House, and will be leaving his post as Director of National Disaster Medical System for the period of 1 year, starting October 1st. There is a person who has been recently promoted up to an acting deputy director of NDMS. Essentially started with logs coming out of the military about 2 years ago. He will be moving up and taking Andy's position as acting director until Andy gets done. And it's foreseen that he will return. Some untoward offer comes his way that he just can't refuse. So we'll see where we end up a year from now. I hope that Andy comes back, as his whole goal was to do this fellowship and learn the tricks of the trade of interagency collaboration, negotiation, and politicking. Because honestly, that's how that's really going to define who we are and where we go as an agency going forward. When you look at the concepts of HR, when you look at hiring, when you look at budget appropriations, when you look at workers' compensation, all these things that have to be legislated, he's going there to learn how to do this the right way so that we can be better enabled to get our bills attached and get things through the hill. Pretty much all the changes that are coming down in NDMS right now are being geared and generated off of the hill. So you have Mr. Boyce, you have Andy, you have the select few others in the OEM superstructure and in HHS superstructure that are meeting regularly with the White House and with our representatives in Congress, working on getting appropriations pushed through, trying to get us more money, trying to get us the ability to hire, trying to get us, workers' compensation that would reflect a full-time employee rather than somebody who's just come in for a couple weeks. So everything about where we're going, it has a political base to it. It's just that, we're apolitical as a team. I'm being kind of forced and drug in, kicking and screaming, to interface in different levels in Washington with the NDMS and OEM. That's kind of where my role is evolving into. But as far as the teams go, the teams are apolitical. But honestly, the drivers that keep us alive and keep us well are all political. So it'll be interesting to see what Andy brings back to the table and to see what evolves over the course of this coming year, especially since it's going to be an election year. There's not a lot of high hopes for a lot of change until after the election, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to stop trying to keep tagging our stuff onto other bills. Hopefully they'll get chopped off before they get to the voting. All right. So that being said, let's talk about. Okay, you guys got an email from me talking about code of conduct. I have code of conduct on Responder eLearn under courses. This has been added now. Yes. NDMS Bear. It's at the very top of the list. It's not at the bottom now. Okay, so would you go back and do that one more time so they can see how to get to it? Okay, so you get on Responder eLearn. Everybody knows that. Everybody remembers the password. Everybody can do this in their sleep. You go to My Courses. Go to NDMS Available Courses. Okay, you come under NDMS. The very first one is the NDMS VER, NDMS Verifications. Okay, you click on that, and that pops up. And guess what? You are ready to start. You have to register for this course. Okay, so you've already done it. There is a tab where you have to register. Okay. Choose Lender Administration. Okay, once you register for the course, it brings up the course for you. Go under modules and code of conduct, and there's the course content. And away you go. Code of conduct PDF, and then this literally walks you through. This has been signed by everybody in Washington now, and this is a mandatory for every employee of the federal government that works for NDMS. This code of conduct essentially is going to really walk through what it is that we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to exemplify. There's just a scope. And it talks about standards of code of conduct. And really, honestly, this is common sense. So much of this is stuff that we just naturally do. But there's a lot of verbiage in here about uniforming, about how you present yourself in public. They talk about, well, you're on duty when you're off duty. You still should exemplify. Federal employees and people do look at us differently. Those that know that we're feds, those that don't, you can still be a buffoon. But when you're around people that you know that you're a fed, you have to hold yourself to just a little bit of a higher level. I think the big take-home message for this thing, because it's a very lengthy document, it goes on and on and on and on and on. It takes about 10 minutes maybe to go through it. The big take-home thing is that when you're in uniform, you represent the federal government. So they talk about, well, don't go into a bar, don't drink any alcohol, don't do this when you're in uniform. It's all common sense. We don't do that. When you're in uniform, you don't become very jocular with other agency representatives. You don't call other agency officers by ranks that have nothing to do with their department, like calling a U.S. Public Health Service officer a general. There's just a lot of things you don't do. And, everything that you do in uniform not only represents the team, but it represents the agency, and it represents the Office of Emergency Management, and thus it represents the Assistant Secretary and ultimately the Secretary. So all this is just gives you a lot of information that boils down to act and conduct yourselves as a professional when you're in uniform. And if you can do that, then you get to the very bottom of this, then you go to the post-test, correct? Code of conduct. Conduct exam. It comes up. Oh, now this is one of those things you can take it multiple times. Okay? You can take this thing as many times as it takes until you can pass it, all right? And Noah, and we're not keeping track of that, but there is the test. I have read and understand the NDMS Code of Conduct. True, false, true, and submit and finish, and you're done. That's it. All she took. It's a one-question quiz. I gave you guys the answer in the email. We have 13 people who've done it so far. The mandate that I heard today was that every person who is rostered for October needs to have this completed and on file. So if you have rostered, and on Responder eLearn under the team community, OH-1 community, the roster is posted, and you can see if you have indeed been chosen to be on the roster. And if you have, please take the time to hop under my courses, NDMS, take the Code of Conduct quiz, get it done, call it a day, and we'll just go out and do what we do. So, any questions? Everybody pretty comfortable here with getting in and out of Responder eLearn? Yes, no, I can't hear rattles, but yeah, okay. All right, so this here, right here, what you see today, okay, is going to come to a screeching halt very shortly. We're leaving Responder eLearn, and so get your stuff done before they shut us. Before we move on, we're going to what we call now a team portal, and it's going to be a combination of everything on Responder eLearn and our public website, and this is going to be a plethora of organized information. And if you believe that, I have some property in Alaska for sale on the edge of a glacier that has an ever-changing view that I'll make you a heck of a good deal of. So, at any rate, we are going to be moving over, and Lauren and Short Bus, Andy Klinger, are going to be the points of contact with Washington on that, and we're going to initiate that process this week in getting at least the foundation set. I tried to download some examples of California 6s, and it was too much for me. And then I told I was blocked anyhow, so that no wonder I spent an hour for nothing. But at any rate, California 6 has done an excellent job with theirs, and it really is. It's easy to navigate. We let Responder eLearn for the team community kind of go crazy. It developed a life of its own. It's really disorganized. It's hard to find stuff. I mean, as much as I'm on here, I still get lost. I'm looking for stuff, and what should take me 5 minutes takes me 20 minutes, and 20 minutes out of my day is money out of my pocket, just like everybody else. I mean, time has value no matter what we do, no matter who's paying it. Time has value. So we're going to try to take. Well, we are going to take all of this confusion, and we're going to create an OH-1 portal that's going to be. We'll be able to roster off of it. I mean, this thing's going to be merging all kinds of data eventually, and it's really going to be a tool for Lauren and Kathy and I to use as we're building rosters, tracking people's information, and you guys provide it when you move and change banks and that type of stuff. Lots of everything's going to be all one-stop shopping. But the easy access is that it's one little password. And you guys set your own, and you guys put all your own information in there. So as you update your data, it's going to be yours. It's yours. You're accountable for your information. You don't have to submit it over to Kathy and Lauren and I. The expectation will be that you go in and update your own stuff. Just like we're going to talk about vouchering tonight. Same thing. I mean, we're moving into the military model, which, you know what? Talk to anybody that's been active duty reserve for any length of time. When they do, everybody does their own vouchers. Everybody does all this stuff. Okay. And honestly, they don't want to pay Kathy and Lauren and I to do it, and they shouldn't have to. So we're going to have this huge learning curve, and I know there's going to be people that are freaking out, and I hope some of you brought your pens tonight, because we kind of totally rebuilt the room the way we found it. If we leave spots underneath the chairs, that'd be pretty embarrassing. But this is going to be a big curve. It's going to be tough, but at the same time, I think we're gonna create some Uber users. You're going to have the mentors eventually who are going to be up to speed on this, and we're just going to try to get everybody through it slowly but surely. I'm just giving you a preview of coming distractions. So, it's not going to be anything that's going to happen in the next 30 days, but I just want you to know that we're starting a process that's going to eventually become a very easy access for you guys. It's going to be, if we do ours and we follow the templates that were created, and we create something that even comes close to what California 6 did, which I think we can do it as good, if not better, you guys are going to be happier than pigs in poop. Because when I surfed their site when I was in Arizona, it was excellent. And it's just, as soon as I have samples, I'll send you links so that you can take a look, see at these. There's 3 teams that were involved with the beta. All 3 of them are absolutely outstanding. So I'll make sure that you guys get a chance to see this on the front side, so it's kind of a preview of coming distractions. Okay. All right, let's move on from that to uniforms. I sent out an email about the HHS patches, and I've got a good pile of checks in my house. Uniform policy, final, top. Anyhow, I think on part of the presentation it says page 18 of 19, but really is page 20 or 22 if we have it. But at any rate, okay, I have a diagram. He's going to find it of what the uniforms are supposed to look like. Okay. Yes, sir. No. I'm not photogenic, but I'd be happy to bring my camera if you'd like tomorrow. Actually, we have a diagram of the actual uniform with the proper placement of all patches. Just let Mr. Hart find it. Okay, so I'm gonna cut and paste this page out, and I'll email it to everybody so everybody has it. But essentially, when you look at the uniform, right now we have the reversed American flag on the right shoulder. On the left shoulder is going to go the HHS patch. That will go on your blouses. That will go on your field jacket. So the cost per patch is $250. I ordered 50, and they had to sew them. And I got a notice that they should be delivered to me on Monday. So pretty much that 50 is gone. So I put in another order for another 50. If you all want to just send me a check, that way I have your address, I will just mail yours back to you. So that way I don't have a logistical issue of having to bring patches over here and exchange money and everything else. If you give me a check, that's cool, with your address on it. I'll send them right straight to you when I have them. It's taken, I ordered this initial batch on 8/26, so they're going to show up on Monday. So it's about a 2-week turnover from order to delivery. So the patches that were okay, now there should be a big one. Go down to page 20 of 22. Oh, Christmas is coming too. Okay, so anyhow, all right, so here's how we play it. When you're ready to order your patches, send me an email. I'll send you my address. Yes, sir. They are Velcroed, and I actually ordered the Velcro that goes on the base underneath this patch. So you can pull the patch off when you launder your uniform with no extra cost. 4 patches, 4 Velcros. So. Because they said so and we have to. Otherwise, we don't get them, and then we're outside of the code, uniform code. So, and they're yours. Pardon? $250, and I'll eat the postage sending them out. I mean, I could make it 3 and that would cover the shipping to me and postage back out, but I ain't gonna mess with it, guys. I'll just $2.50. Keep it simple. $2.50. $10 full patch with Velcro. Can't beat that deal with a big stick. That didn't load. So we'll move on to the next topic. Hopefully the next presentation will load a little bit faster and a little bit better than this last one did that I put on there. So, the other thing that goes along with that is that we do need to start transferring ourselves over to new T-shirts, so that we are comprehensive and abiding by the new uniform code. New uniform code is the NDMS response team T-shirts, either in cotton or in the poly. We have the team emblem on there right now. I was told that we can keep our team emblem on there, but we either have to put the NDMS or the HHS logo next to it. So as you're thinking of updating your attire, please be thinking about your T-shirts and replacing those at your leisure. Mary Vance is not with us, bless you. Mary Vance is not with us tonight, but she does have the order forms. I do think we have the order forms up on Responder eLearn somewhere. So you can surf the OH-1 community for the T-shirt order form, or at your leisure, reach out to Mary by email or when she's here at the meetings. But we need to move away from the OH-1 DMAT back T-shirts to the NDMS response team T-shirts. Pardon? Well, it's subtle for nearly everybody. We don't have very many people that have the NDMS because it wasn't mandatory. Now they want us to come to fruition. And yes. Huh. No. No, because he was actually involved in this process. Yeah. So I think we're good. Now, 2 years from now, yes. I did not order flags. Mary has quite a few already. Yes, they're not moving. Now, if you look closely at the uniform code, though, they've got everything on Velcro. Well, we're not Velcroed. I mean, the only thing we have Velcroed are name strips and team strips. You know, our NDMS patch and the team patch are sewn on. And so in this new profile. And again, this is going to go down the road when you're ordering. And I can tell you, ordering a set of uniforms right now from this for $100. Amen. You know, so you know, I mean, I think I don't know how these young teams think they're going to do it. Well, that's why, and it's one of the things I'll tell you about. We're helping Nebraska One. We really reabsorbed quite a large volume of uniforms, and Nebraska One was in a discussion with the upper echelon, and I happened to insert myself into it because I was walking by and just being and so what we've done is Jerry and I and folks up at Frederick and the commander from Nebraska One, what we've done is we've unloaded probably 60, 70 uniforms. Easy. We're providing Nebraska One, who is a new team with 23, 25 folks that had no uniforms. We're uniform. We are literally setting that team up so that they can go out the door with a couple uniforms per person. And it's been a labor of love. Jerry's been integral in this process, counting stuff up and going through the list. We've had to match sizes and the whole shoot match, and we've kept an inventory, so it's not like we've just wiped out our bank. We have plenty of uniforms for new folks or if we could replace uniforms for somebody. But I tell you, when I got on and looked at the cost of patches and the cost of uniforms through the vendor, who is the GSA vendor now for NDMS, and there's a couple other federal agencies, I couldn't believe it was $100. You can go to Surplus and get a pair of khaki BDUs and a khaki blouse for $30, $40 max. If you want to go high dollar, you can get 511 pants and a BDU blouse and spend $45. Sure, I'm actually looking for an exit strategy for my business. I think I'm going to go back. I'd like to start selling toilet seats to the federal government. And hammers. Hammers another thing. So at any rate, I mean, you have the ability to buy your own uniforms. Don't do it through the GSA vendor. And if you do need uniforms, just get a hold of one of us on the TLG, and we'll go through the inventory. Talk to Jerry. We have uniforms back. So, but Nebraska One is very grateful, and they have extended an invitation to every member of the OH-1. If you do end up in Nebraska, there's guaranteed Omaha steaks on the grill and a cold beer for any member of the team that makes it through Nebraska. So if anybody's headed that way on a vacation, please don't hesitate and don't forget that an offer's been made. I'll give you the phone number and the address of the person who's going to have to come good on that offer. All right, so now let's look at let's do the summary. Oh, this is great. Okay, now there was this thing that came out and asked everybody in NDMS to complete a survey monkey. Okay. So here's the results. Now, out of the 5,500 to 6,500 active employees in NDMS, 758 lied. But that was enough to give them at least some data. It may not necessarily be statistically significant if you're a statistician, but it does give some interesting feedback about the demographics of NDMS, who we are, and what we're all about. So, can we go to the DMAT? This is the DMAT, correct? All right, well, roll that butter down because this right here. Okay, so, slide number 1. What's your age? What's your age? See what the mean age is of the team. I mean, we're looking between 45 and 55. We've got a huge group, 50 to 60 group. It's going to be our highest attrition area. Because those are going to be all us folks who are going to get a little. We're just going to start withering on the vine, as if we haven't already. I'm just going to speak for myself. Yes, I resemble that. I resemble that. So if you roll down just a wee bit, it breaks out the percentages. And then if you look at that 50, 60, 70, 11%. So 29% of the members of NDMS are over the age of 56. We do have a pretty decent representation in that you see it's like in the 41 to 45 and 45 to 50. And there has been an upsurge, and it shows in some of the other slides some other age demographic shifts. All right. Let's roll down to the next question. Question is, what positions responded to this? And team leadership, obviously we didn't do a real good job there. We got a little bit of green at the top. But the majority were the health technicians, paramedics, EMTs, nurses, and the physicians. Those are the 3 leading areas, and we can roll down with the stat on that. Medical officers, 11%. Nursing was 20. Health technicians, paramedics was 23%. So, we had a good representation from the working class folk to do the hands-on medical care. The logistics didn't weigh in well. Safety, security was probably about the same. Behavioral health, there's not a lot of those people left in the system. So, the numbers reflect responses relevant to the people who do the bulk of the clinical work, that's what we are. We are the National Disaster Medical System. All right, roll her off, please, if you would. Number of years. Now, here's where the demographic shifts. I thought it was pretty cool. Even though we've been in a freeze, okay, the largest percentage, which was, I mean, 30.44%, for less than 5 years. 1 to 5 years of continuous service with the agency. 6 to 10 and 11 to 15 are pretty close at 25. So, honestly, when you look at folks that have been in over 16 years that they're really waning. Again, those are the people that, honestly, now, I mean, they're retiring. They're retiring from their civilian jobs, they're retiring from NDMS. So, oh, 15 to 20. All right. Well, we'll see how you feel about playing in a few more years. All right, roll her on up. How long do you expect to stick around? 7 to 10 years is average. That's the highest. Okay. You've got a pretty even between 1 to 3 and 4 to 6, and 11 to 14. Those are all really kind of close. Even 15 to 20. 7 to 10 years though, comes in at 20 some percent. So the people that are coming on board, or that are on board now, really for the most part, the grand majority are, you're looking at 4 to 14, 4 to 20. So again, that reflects, I think, that younger shift, because our highest numbers after the older folk is down in the 40, 48 range. Oh, yes. What? They sent this out to every NDMS employee. Yeah. Yeah. It went out. I sent it out, actually. Yeah. No, this went out to all NDMS employees. It's been, wow. I don't even remember when we did this. This was way back in the spring. I think it was like March. Might have been March. There were a lot of people that still hadn't come out of hibernation yet in March. Okay, so what will drive your decision to leave? Answer number one, ding, 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 retirement. Loss of interest. Too many other commitments comes in second. And health and family is actually that's probably second. And too many commitments is third. So, and honestly, this is what we all tussle with. Family, occupation, civilian side, life. Too many commitments. Well, I said I'm going to make cookies for the bazaar. I can't roster. We have lives. We all do. And it's a challenge to run an organization like this when everybody's intermittent. So this really, honestly, kind of helps paint the picture for those up top as to what we've been saying to them at commanders meetings for quite a while. And, that there's more here than what meets the eye. And that we are special government employees. That special isn't just special ed. We're special because we're unique. And what makes us unique is that we're not full-time and we're not half-time employees. We're intermittent employees. And they're trying to wrap their heads around who we are and why we can't always just drop and run in the blink of an eye. And why, when they say jump, we don't always ask from what floor. What I keep saying over and over to them again is what I've always said since I've been around here, is that we're responsible for the effort, not for the outcome. And, it's not anybody's job on the leadership group or command to stand around here with a baseball bat and beat people upside the head to get them to do things, because we're intermittent special government employees, and we have family, and we have organizational requirements. We have a lot of other commitments in our personal lives. We have occupational challenges, and all those things come into play. So when you see little emails come flying around, and don't just understand that we serve multiple masters, and Kathy and Lauren and I and Jerry, Wojo, and the mentors, we understand. We really do, because we're one of you guys. I mean, we're all. I mean, honest to God, if I didn't have to stand up here, I'd be standing down there talking, because we're all on the level as far as I'm concerned. And we all have the same Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so this really gave them some perspective. Okay, roll up these. And then this was a question that says, what is the one thing you would like NDMS to know about your service? And I'm telling you what, you guys can, I'll send this so you can read it, because I love, just scroll through just a few, let's just grab a couple. There's nine pages below it. Okay, so that does not have the answer. Okay, I'll send out the one where you can see all the comments that people make. And no big deal. I'll send it out. Yeah, I just look at some of the comments because some of them are pretty pointed, and I think they hit the nail on the head. Because sometimes the expectations are pretty high, and for people just to feel comfortable enough to speak freely, and to submit not only a little bit of data for them, but to give them honest to God verbatim English vernacular, King's English responses as to what they think is good. And there are people that just really tore it up. I was impressed. I read all of them. I spent an evening. I just spent a couple hours just reading each one of the comments because I found them interesting. Because honestly, everything that was written is stuff that I've heard everybody on our team say at one point in time or another, or I've heard come out of my own mouth. So that's kind of that's one of the things that was generated off at the post command meeting. Was the outcomes from the survey, and again, they're looking at this because they're trying to gear the system up to meet our needs more appropriately, and we have to have an identity. This team has a cult of personality, and there's quite a few teams that have some significant cults of personality, and there are teams that always get the call. We get the call a lot. We send out a lot of strike teams. We get the opportunities for a lot of different kinds of employments, and that's because of who we are and the fact that we produce, and we are self-sufficient, and we're professional, and we get the job done. We're mission ready. Yes, sir. 758 out of 5,400. DMAT. Yeah. Well, DMAT has between 55 and 6,500 employees right now. We've reduced from 10,000. So we've cut it. They're saying it's closer to half. It's closer to 5,000. But no NMS. DMAT. DMAT is the one that's had the reduction. So if you look at it from that perspective, yeah, it is very low. But you know what? I think honestly, I think that if 2,000 people would have responded, you still would have seen the same kind of core results. The people that respond to this are the people that always respond in roster. These are the people that always step forward. The people that are very actively engaged are the people that actually got involved with this. And again, a lot of people might not have seen that email because it may have been during a cluster when I was sending clusters of emails in the spring. And I do that from time to time because sometimes lots of information comes at once. So. But I think it's representative of DMAT, and I mean we could throw up IRCT and LRAT and all these other guys too, and theirs looks exactly like ours. It really does. IRCT is so close to ours, it's just crazy. And that's the incident response coordination team, and those are folks that a lot of the people are ex DMATers. It's just like with the LRATs, they're ex DMAT people who have moved over. But it is interesting to look at the age demographics. You look at the reasons people that are leaving, potential for leaving. When you look at outcomes reporting as far as what people's opinions are, I think it's very important for HQ to see this stuff. And they're paying attention, and that's why you're going to see more of these coming around. I think they want to do another one before the end of the calendar year, so I'll make sure that when I send it out, it's flagged so that you guys hopefully see it and participate. Okay, so what are we going to do after that, Billy? Okay, so voucher process. This is Kathy and I are going to work on this together a little bit because everything. I will preface this by saying everything on how to do your voucher yourself is on Responder eLearning, and like I said last month, it's. First time is horrible. After that, it's a piece of cake, easy peasy. It puts a lot of responsibility back on each individual's plate because Kathy cannot do your vouchers anymore. So that means if you have out-of-pocket expenses, that means if you're going to travel to the airport, you're going to park versus having somebody drop you off, you have to validate and do the cost comparisons yourself. and you have to submit the documentation yourself if you're going to get reimbursed. And like I had alluded earlier, this is nothing new if you've been in the military. But in NDMS, this is a big deal because we've always had Kathy and Lauren to do it for us. All we did was copy stuff and send it to her, and she took care of everything. And I think you're probably going to develop a far greater appreciation of what Kathy has done for you guys, despite the fact that she chases everybody around and says, you got 5 days, you got 5 days, you got 5 days, you got to get this to me, I got to have this. No, you didn't do it right. You need to scan it. Just take a damn picture and send it to me. I've heard all the conversations. You're going to realize how much work she did for you guys, because now you have to do it all yourself. And you have 24 hours to do it from the time you get home. 5 days is off the table. You got 24 hours from the time your boots hit your house to have your stuff submitted to your regional AO, who's going to do your voucher submission. If you don't get it in, there's no money. They've set deadlines, and they're not going to budge. So this is going to be a huge learning curve. I did it when I came back from Arizona. I had 1 day before the end of the old system, and I was told, just do the new one. I did it. I screamed and yelled and threw shit across my office. I threw tantrums. My wife took the dogs and went outside. There you go. You guys are all going to get a taste of it, and that's why I really want you guys to familiarize yourself with the process and do some things preemptively that'll make it much easier, okay? Because I've done it. Having done it, I've prepared myself for the next time I have to do it, which is going to make it a cakewalk, okay? But you know, it's not a fun thing at all. And honest to God, that 24-hour thing makes it tough. So you have to do a lot of work preemptively, and it's real easy. Let's put up the airport. Airport transportation cost comparison. Let's look at this. Now, all this stuff is in one place, and I also offered, if anybody wants all this, if you don't have the time or you don't feel adept at getting on Responder eLearn, if you send me or bring me a thumb drive, I'll put this stuff on a thumb drive for you. Okay. This is okay. I have a thumb drive out here for you. We've already done a few tonight. We'll do. Anybody has a thumb drive? We'll do it tonight. If you don't have it tonight, send it to me in the mail. Bring it to the next meeting. But understand, if we get called out in October, you need to be prepared to be able to do this, because Kathy can't do it for you anymore. So if you're sending me a check for patches, and you put a thumb drive in with your check, I'll send you back a thumb drive with all this stuff on it. But it is on eLearn. But here's what you have to do, okay? You have to complete this cost comparison transportation airport form, okay? Which means you have to do some homework. So one, you have to, okay, you've got to figure out what the costing is at the airport for parking, because if they're going to pay parking at $6 a day somewhere within a 5-mile radius of that airport, and they've got a shuttle that runs in, they're only going to reimburse you for $5. Now, if you want to get in the shorter term parking, or if you want to go into one of the other parking lots where it's $8, $10, $12, understand you're only going to get $5. Okay, they're not going to give you anything more than that. You have to determine, and you have to get this cost per day. You have to put it in this form every time you go somewhere. You have to do this form. Okay, so understanding that, everybody knows what airport we transport out of, right? Okay, I fly out of South Bend. Some guys go out of Detroit. Some people go out of Columbus. Some people don't go. Goose flies and hitchhikes. What you can do is you can make up some of these. All right, and do your homework and you know what your parking cost is. Type in a few of these and have them ready. Okay. Taxi to the airport. There's a whole process in here about getting a taxi, and there is a website, taxifarefinder.com. God, they were creative with this one. But essentially, if it loads today. Anyhow, with this, you can put in your home address and you put in the address of the airport that you're traveling out of. It will give you supposedly the shortest route, which it didn't mean, and it'll give you the miles, and it will give you the cost of the closest limousine taxi service that will take you to the airport. I can tell you that mine, there wasn't even a taxi service that showed up in it, and I ended up having to do mine out of Fort Wayne. There you go. TaxiVerifinder.com. Find your taxi. Okay, put in your town and put in where you're going, and it'll calculate it up for you. Yes, sir. Yes. Great trick. Times two. There you go. That's cool. Okay. You have to actually have a screenshot of that page. Go back. Can you take that white one off? You have to do this no matter whether you use a taxi or not. You have to cap this. So you have to take a screenshot of this page. All right, and that has your fare. Okay, estimated fare, and with 15% gratuity. Okay, and that's one way, correct? So you multiply that times two on the form. So needless to say, none of us, they're not going to want to underwrite a $270 taxi. I can tell you from Amish country where I live to South Bend, which is 38 miles, was almost $310. They aren't going to pay that. So, but you have to go back on this form. You have to go back on the calculation form and put that in. So let's go back to the actual form that we're doing the calculations on. Okay, so you've got the cost of your taxes one way. All right, so then you put that in. All right. Now, if this is where you're always going to travel, you're always going to travel from home to that particular airport. Okay, go back to that form, please. Um, you can make these butters up. Google Maps. Same thing. Okay, you got to get into Google Maps. You got to put in your home address. You got to put in the address of the airport. It's going to give you the total number of miles, and then you go back to your form again, and you put in the mileage. It does all the calculations, and it runs out and gives you your actual. Pardon me. But you still have to use Google Maps for your mileage. You got to have separate, two different forms. You got to have Google Maps. Kathy, am I correct? It must be Google Maps. Even though Taxi Finder uses Google Maps, you have to have a Google Maps for your mileage. You have to have Taxi Finder for your taxi fare. Okay. You gotta submit to it. Hey, we didn't do this, and they didn't ask us about it. Yeah. Yeah. Screenshot of the print. The thing with your mileage, you want to make sure that it shows your route. It shows more than one route, and then they're going to give you the shortest route, which for me was the difference of correct. So anyhow, you can do all these calculations. You can print up a whole bunch of pages of your Google Maps. Okay, get a folder, maps, have all your Google Maps stuff. Go over to next pocket, put in your taxi stuff. All right, you got those. All right, and then they're going to take the cheapest of these two. It's on the form. Right now it is $575. It's $577. It's gone up. So it's IRS. It's IRS reimbursement. So that number is going to actually fluctuate. Uh, thing to do though is to prepare and get this stuff done ahead of time so that you have it. Because if you come home and you just come off a 2-week deployment, or you just came off a strike team deployment, you've been without sleep or very little sleep, you've been traveling, and God knows travel days end up being 12, 16, 18 hours sometimes. The last thing you want to do is drop your boots and bag and sit down and have to do all this crap from scratch. I wouldn't want to do it. I had to do it. It was no fun. I was jet lagged, jumping 3 time zones, and Jesus, it was horrible. So, be kind to yourselves and do the work on the front side so that it's a very simple process then of filling in the fine details here. You already have the validations. You just create your stack. Let's look at the. They didn't say anything about dating and aging of the taxi stuff. Did you hear anything, Kat? Dating and aging of the taxi finder. So, I'm seeing the Google map the Google map will be good because that might taxi finder. You know what? I honestly, just to be safe, I would do that once a quarter. I mean, if you're gonna roster in Q1 of 2016, run one in January and have it ready so for the rest of it. Yeah. Everybody, we all are screwed when it comes to this because we all have to do it, and there's no exception. And it isn't like this is going to happen a month or two from now. This went into effect on July 30th, August 1st, because I traveled on the 30th. They said you have a day. So, yeah. So this is a no options thing, and I know this is going to have this. This is probably going to have a negative impact on some people's willingness to want to go out the door because people don't have damn time. I understand it. And we don't have any say so. There's no discussion. They just dropped this bomb and said, "Here's what you guys are going to do starting in a couple of days," and it was baptism by fire. So all I can do is try to make this as simple. Jerry's done it now. I've done it. Let's look at another form. Let's just thicken up this soup a little bit. Travel voucher worksheet. Okay, you guys have all seen this. Kathy's been doing these for us for a long time. You slide that bad boy over, sir. All right. Now they are required. So now you have to fill this bugger out. Literally, as part of your submission. So now we have that worksheet that we just talked about. Taxi, parking, mileage. Now we're going to take that information and receipts that would be reimbursable. We're going to start checking this off. Now, when we travel, you get an itinerary. You also get a hotel confirmation. So we have the number of days, and on that confirmation, it tells you what your daily rate is for your hotel. Everything's all spelled out. What we have to do in that first 24 hours, which all you want to do is sleep when you get home, not mess with nothing. You have to take all that information. You have to plug it in here. So, with your 917, you're going to put miles in. you put your head. It's the where you put your head on the pillow goes city and state. So your bill will have your daily amount. It's also going to have your lodging tax. Okay. Traveling with bags. Okay. You're looking up at airline. Yes, those guys drink a lot of beer. Here's one bag and this is the other. You know, okay, so now if you took a taxi to the airport, obviously you're not going to have to 50 miles. Critique, Kathy. Critique. Look at that and tell me what you think. Is that what? No, it doesn't. That's automatically calculated up. So I mean, as far as what we have to establish, but for each one of us to fill this out, for if you're out for 2 weeks, you're going to be doing this. You're going to be running this thing out. Yes. Oh, this isn't working? Oh, you know what? Oh, well, kids. Is it on, oh. Shit. Sorry about that. Sorry for the technical difficulty, but we had a user error on the portable microphone. Now I'm good to go. Can they hear me now? Sound off, you people at home. Sorry. Now you guys are all a bunch of red-haired stepchildren. Just accept it. Okay, so anyhow, this gives you an idea, okay, of what we have to do. Obviously, situations are going to be different depending on where we go and what we do. But this is what you have to do with the information that you're gleaning when you're gone. This has to be completed. This worksheet has to go in along with that cost projection sheet, along with, now there should be a receipt page. You guys should be familiar with the receipt page if you've been out the door. And here's a statement in lieu of actual receipts. Oh, okay, let's touch this one real quick because I don't think I have the receipt page on that in that group. Hurricane Kitty urinated in your bag. This has happened, and wiped out all your receipts. Okay. So what do you do? Well, You have a statement in lieu of actual receipts form that you can actually submit and say, mea culpa, my cat hit my bag and I don't have any receipts. And you can itemize this out, sign it, date it, send it in, and that will suffice for your receipts. Now remember, you're not getting meal receipts because you're covered under per diem. So you don't have to collect receipts for your meals. You can put your meals on your card. Okay, so that's fine. Yes, sir. No, no. When you're in motion and been deployed, and something like that comes up, there's two things you have to do before you engage in that. One is you contact me or whoever is command and control back here, and the IRCT ops. Everybody has the card. You get ops on the phone, and you say, "This is what I've got going on." That's a direct call to the IRCT ops. They'll authorize you. They inform me. I bless it. You get your rental vehicle, and you go. That's how that one works. Yes, sir. Well, and again, there are times when that shifts because there, one, you have a different reimbursed rate by per diem on your travel days. What is that, Kathy? Per diem on travel days. The normal fee per diem. 75% on your travel day. Yeah. Now, if you go somewhere, so let's say we go down to Anniston, you go down for fundamentals, they're serving meals. Okay, so you're not getting per diem. If we go somewhere and we're in the field or we're at some kind of an exercise and they provide MREs, we're not getting per diem for the meals that they provide the MREs. So we'll know when that happens, and we'll coach. Obviously, if there's a variation to the general theme, we'll share it with you guys as you guys get ready to do it. Yes? MREs. I heard that was dispelled. Yeah. The question was a statement about back in the day, there was a statement that was made that if one person on a team opens an MRE, the whole team loses the per diem. And the rule is generally, if they provide it for the whole team, if you choose not to eat, you're not getting your per diem. But bottom line is that there's going to be special accommodations for every time we go out the door as to what's covered under per diem and what's not. And we'll share that with you guys so that you guys have the information you need to fill this out correctly. So there is a receipt page, and I don't have a copy of that in this little presentation here. So, but I think most of you, if not all, have seen it. It's a page that says receipts, and you're supposed to take your receipts and stick it on that page and copy it. Yes. And not upside down, not backwards. They want them in chronological order, actually. Yes. So day one would be a page, day two, day three, day four, whatever. Yeah. And that was Kathy's kind of update on the actual receipt page, because we've gotten them upside down, backwards, forwards, and in no sense of order whatsoever when it comes to actual dates in the field. This new plan, this new process, they'll kick stuff back in a heartbeat. I'm just telling you. You don't have to take a full page receipt. So like your zero balance hotel. Okay? You don't have to send that. You don't have to put that on a receipt page. It has your name on it. You just include that as one of your receipt pages. Yes. Correct. We do not have to have meal receipts. Your per diem covers meals. So if you outdo your per diem, obviously you're going to get a bill, and you got to cover that one if you're putting it on your card versus paying it out of pocket. But yeah, the only receipts now, your baggage, excess baggage fees receipts, you're going to want those because those are going to be big. you want to get those in. I mean, if you got a $5, $10 one here or there, and you're just like, I don't want to mess with $5 or $10, that's your decision, and that's fine. But if you have $100, $200 worth of receipts sitting there from traveling, you want to get that stuff in. You want to be reimbursed, and we want to make it easy so you guys can do it. And it's just going to be a challenge because you can't take pictures with your camera anymore. This has to be scanned, photocopied. All this stuff has to go as an enclosure with one email. They don't want 10 emails from you with 10 different documents attached. This all goes in one email to the regional processor, the regional AO who's in. You may fax. They were taking fax off of the process. Yes, fax is not going to be doable. You scanned it. Really good to have them in your hand. Here, take a microphone because you have people at home. I'm handing you this one.
Okay, just let me say a couple things. If you have a problem scanning, if you send me a good quality picture, I can turn it into an Adobe and send it back to you. But don't wait till the last minute. You got to get it to me quickly. Yeah, well, until we can get into the process, I'm willing to help in any way I can. So yeah, and as long as picture laying flat with no glare and no, but sure, yeah. Okay, and I also wanted to make sure that you knew a couple other things. You can't type a signature or use a digital signature. You have to sign it, just like always. Let's see what other things. And they have a criteria for the email, for the subject line. So you really need to follow these directions really closely.
Kathy, let me reinforce the signature.
Okay.
What she's referring to is a signature on the voucher, back page of the voucher form, where your travel agent, for lack of a better term, that oversees this process for you, she'll email you that 4-page form, and the last page you got to sign. All you're emailing back to her is that legible signature.
My voucher.
No.
The Hess voucher.
Look through this. This book is from my travel. Look through this book,
Yeah.
and you can see the 4-page form.
And
that,
I also have a copy that
right.
I can lay up here on the desk.
And that's the last page is all they
That's
want
the
back.
worksheet?
Is the legible
This one has my name on it.
scanned and emailed back.
Okay, your travel voucher preparer for our region is going to be Kathy Hanley. So she's the one that's going to be contacting you and sending your stuff. And your actual voucher is a combination between what I sent and I called a screenshot and what your actual voucher was. It's kind of all combined into one. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jared.
No, that's fine. Okay. And also the other thing on the worksheet, the voucher worksheet, I would highly encourage you to make a copy of that and take it with you on deployment and fill that out on a daily basis. Because you're going to forget things and you're going to get home, like Rick said, this has to be done within a 24-hour period, and you're going to lose something. So if you have that pre-filled out, you can go home on your computer and then just fill in the blanks. Is it a complicated process? I don't think it's really complicated, because if I can do it, most of you can do it. It is a time-consuming process.
Jerry had no help, and he did a great job.
Yeah, unbelievable. And the Elise mentioned on the travel. How do they determine what you're going to get paid? It's obviously the lowest price.
Yes.
And it's most generally going to be your mileage, because most of us are going to drive up to the airport, or we're going to hitch a ride with somebody,
Wow.
and they're going to take that. My taxi fare was $560 some, $280 some round trip, 270 some round trip. That was my taxi, but they paid me the mileage obviously because it was only 168 some odd dollars. Is it a pain in the bus? Yes. But like Rick said, we have no choice now. We have to play their game, and once we do one, the rest fall into place.
Yeah.
There is at the bottom of that page a comment section for everything. The mileage, the taxi cab. I put in a taxi cab. I don't have a taxi cab service. I live in a rural area. There's no taxi cab service that comes out to my area. And Rick can't get the Amish guy to clop over to his house
They're expensive.
and
They're expensive.
load his luggage in to the back cart.
You know what the price of hay is?
Yeah.
The
So
speculations
if you
are
make a
high.
good comment in there, they'll let it go through. They may want additional
We'll go
documentation
through the pages.
that they probably don't understand. You know what I mean? Because it's government entry. Some
Yeah.
of the members down in Texas, they're 400 miles from an airport. You're never going to get a taxi away, to serve them areas. And they're not going to understand why it took you put down 400 miles one way.
In New York, a taxi from a couple miles away is $150. So,
I wanna-
they pay taxi.
Address Bill's comment. I think it was Bill, or maybe it was John's comment. When you get to the airport, I went into Baltimore Airport, where to go from Baltimore Airport to Frederick. My travel partner, Ryan, we got a couple prices from a couple taxi services, and we had to document that. And we took the lowest price taxi service to Frederick.
Yeah.
From
Trust me.
Frederick, you should take the metro. Just say.
No, the
Okay.
metro only goes so far, Kathy.
Right,
And I
and
still got to
then-
take a taxi.
Then you take a taxi
Yeah,
from the end
well.
of the line. Been there, done that.
Hi, Andy.
The prudent traveler is what you have to be. You have to
Oh.
travel like it was your coming out of your own pocket, as cheap as you can go.
Well, I'm not
I
disputing
don't travel that way.
I mean, I'm not disputing that at all, but
That's right. I don't travel.
Well-
if I had your money, you're right. I would take a limo service all over the world
Why my wife works 2 jobs.
and fly
Yeah.
first class. I understand.
Hey, so I put the 5-pager up here just so you can see what gets generated back, just so you can scroll. Everything that you submit, your regional AO person is going to go through, take all your information from all your forms, including the notes, purposes, special notations, extra fees, the airline breakout that comes off your travel itinerary, okay? And literally this whole document, which is 5 pages, go ahead and scroll on up. In addition to hotel taxes, there's your daily per diem was included in there. They calculate all of that together, come up with your bottom line, and then she sends it back to you as an email. You have to print it, you have to sign it, you got to get it back to them. Okay, and then that's without revisions. If there's no revisions needed from everything that you've submitted, which I just threw myself at her mercy and said, look, this is my first time. And I got through on the first time, but I'm telling you, it took 3 hours.
Okay, also on the group of forms is the statement in lieu of actual receipts. An actual receipt is always preferred. If you lost your baggage fee going there and you put it on your government card, a lot of times I can get that off the JP Morgan website and email it to you. Or you can fill out one of these cute little forms, either way. But, Lauren and I are always there to help you. She does not have access to everything, but I'm sure she can help you with your e-invoice. The JP Morgan stuff has to go through me. Lauren can help with the Google Maps too, yeah. And the taxi fare finder, so pretty much just any receipt thing. So either of us are more than willing to help anybody that goes out the door until we get this process down. It's not a problem.
And you have Jerry and I as well.
Yeah, but
and again,
we don't want to bother you.
Huh?
We
Oh,
wanna
I
bother
don't. You know what? Sometimes it's easier. I'm probably one of the easiest persons to get a hold of.
And it's called a team too,
It is.
not just I. I'm
Yeah.
going to address one other
But
area.
you guys can fax stuff to me. I can scan it. I can send stuff back to you. I mean, the whole thing is that we're going to cut corners here to help you guys get on your feet and get running. And the first couple of times, you guys are going to want to just kill somebody. We'll help you guys through it because this is going to be a learning curve.
Okay, I got one more thing. I think on all of the thumb drives that I filled, I put the PowerPoint or Adobe, whatever it was, presentation that's entitled New Travel Process. And that has a lot of helpful information along with this particular brochure.
Your thumb drive.
At the very end of that presentation, it talks about the credit cards. The new credit cards that are being issued as of September 1st will have a chip and a PIN. And there will be instructions with them. I think we only have 2 expiring this year. So those will be our 2 guinea pigs. One is Lauren, so she gets to have one of the first chips. So that's going to help protect you with some added coverage. And Jerry has a little input.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there.
I want to address your credit card statement. I received my JP Morgan statement, like we all do. Started to read it, and I could evaluate, chronologically where I stayed and stuff like that. Well, there was 2 charges on it from Courtyard in Frederick. I didn't stay there, and it was $109.20, whatever the hell it was. It's irrelevant. So I started inquiring. These were the hotels that EMG Travel, whatever EMG stands for, government travel, arranged for my travel partner and I. Well, we found a cheaper hotel. They never canceled it. So I got in there, and they were kind enough, obviously, since they do so much business with the government, that they were gracious enough to cancel both of our 4-night stay. Well, 2 apiece. But the thing that was baffling me was, how does that travel agency have my credit card number? That's what I cannot figure out, and I'm going to question. How did it end up on my bill? I don't know. So be extremely cautious when you do your travel. 1, everything on there that you did, and 2, the nothing additional charges. So I'm going to inquire, and I'll let you know next meeting what I find out from whoever this person was. How do they have my credit card number, gov card number, for me to get billed for it? Because normally, what do? They make the reservation. If we put it on our credit card, personal card, they take the credit card number. I didn't call this Courtyard in Frederick. Never contacted them. Oh, I've stayed there before, but I don't know,
Well,
to be honest with you. I just
considering all
can't
the stuff
answer the
that's
question.
happened with the data breach, this goes right along with. You have to be very wary and be very meticulous about looking at all of your financial accounts. Look at your debit cards, look at your checking accounts, look at your credit cards, whether it's the government card or your personal cards. I mean, all of our information has been breached. How many here finally got signed up with the monitoring? So, No, it's good for a year. It's good till December of 16. Okay. For those of you that haven't done it, you need to do it. It's provided free of charge by the government for you. If you don't have the link, I'll send it to you again. Send me an email. But bottom line is that one, if you get all your accounts put in, that helps give you that LifeLock type monitoring of all your accounts. But honest to God, if you're traveling and you're doing anything with any of these cards, you need to be looking very closely at your phone bills, for God's sake. I have charges showing up on my phone bill. Charges that are being made. I can't tell you all the crap that I'm finding as I'm line iteming out every bill that comes to my office, not only to my personal, but also to my business. It's crazy the crap I'm getting. So that doesn't surprise me, although that had your federal credit card number on there. The take-home message is you need to look at every statement you get on every account that you have to make sure that you're not getting bent over because our stuff's been hacked. That's, that I would say the answer to your question is that IRCT Travel and MSC did that, had your card out of RMS. That would be the first thing I think that would be the only way they'd have it, but it warrants having an answer because it's hypothetical, it's conjecture until somebody actually tells you, yes, this is how they got it. Because it scares the crap out of me. I'll be real honest. I normally pay for LifeLock, and I did the government offered one too. So I've got everything set up place. So I don't know if you necessarily need to have a double layer of that crap. But I have so many freaking accounts between the business and the person that you can't put it all on one. So I was able to divide it up between the two. So I've got enough now that I'm getting notifications. I'm getting all kinds of crazy notifications. I don't know about you guys, but that's good. Yeah, I get a lot of sex offenders. You know what? I'll tell you what. There's more sex offenders in Amish country than you can shake a stick at.
I have one more thing. There's a form in the thumb drives that I copied for people that says POV versus flying. It's on the eLearn site too. That is only something you have to do if you're going to go for like a training or something like that. That is not for deployment because you're not going to drive for the deployment unless, of course, you're Jay and you live next door to the event. So that's all I got.
Okay. Any questions on this stuff? It's so much information, guys, and it's really complicated. Just know that you know what? You got a support system here. We're not going to throw everybody to the wolves. We'll get it done. Payroll.
Question was, am I still doing payroll? Yes, I still do the payroll. This is just for travel. Understood. Not a problem.
And what are the new rules for travel pay on travel days? You get paid.
Oh, yeah. Yes, you do get paid. Well, that's not brand new.
No, but it used
You
to be
get
limited.
paid to travel. So make sure you par and copy me. So, if not, I will make a calculation.
But before we were limited before to the number of hours on a travel day.
Yes.
And now,
No, you get paid to travel now by the hour. That doesn't mean you can take a layover and hang out at the airport for 4 or 5 hours. That doesn't, you don't do that.
we will find out.
Because I do calculate, how you got to be there 2 hours before and it takes you this long to get there. So,
But if you do get into flight delays and stuff like that,
right,
that's when you
you're
need to.
covered.
You're
paid.
You are paid, but you need to let us know.
Right, Jackie? Jackie got stuck for a day or day and a half, wasn't it? Yeah. And she got paid for every hour. So
Well, that is a new change. So, honestly, that balances it out a little bit better. Hey, any questions on the travel stuff?
yeah, and used to be when we came back from deployment, Lauren and I, you guys were done and I had 40 hours of work and Lauren had 20 hours of work and so we didn't get to, so now we're going to be on like vacation. So we are here to help you.
Yes,
So,
no.
Bags are the responsibility of the airline.
Ta-da. Okay. Any more questions about travel? Let's just talk about the Popple visit real quick, and then let's take a quick break, and then we'll turn. We are not on call. The Pope is coming. Philadelphia is expecting 2.5 million people influxing into the city. The word from Washington is that the cities where the Pope is visiting are ill prepared. The emergency management organizations, associations, emergency managers, the municipal, county, and state folks have underestimated and underprepared themselves in the event that anything were to go awry. So that kind of sets up a possible storm. So the reason that Kathy sent that note out asking for people to respond as to whether or not they would be willing to quickly roster up and deploy this month is really a proactive, forward-leaning decision that we made as a team command, based upon the intel that came out of Washington, conference call we had with Mr. Boyce. So if something does happen, remember he's going to Philadelphia and he's going to New York. They already have teams assigned. They already have teams pre-positioning right now. But if you look at Philadelphia, the ISIL, whatever you want to call them, a lot of different names, labels you can attach to them, have increased their chatter. They've increased their threats for domestic terrorism in the United States. It's kind of coinciding with the Pope's visit. So, from a situational awareness perspective, we need to keep our eyes and ears open. And for those who responded, if something occurs, we're going to have a call tree that's going to go off like crazy, and we're going to be moving quickly. Because if something were to happen, if you have 2.5 million people and there's 4 DMATs, and the way the Philadelphia is even laid out, that whole system, in addition to the federal pre-positioned assets, would be overwhelmed in a heartbeat. So, if you said that you would, not asking anybody to change your plans or to do anything, but just monitor your emails. Because if the flag goes down, okay, and I get the call, I'm going to send out an email, and we're going to start calling. And the expectation will be, because it's going to be an all-hands call if they call. We have a lot of MAC people in our team, and that's one of the reasons why they wanted us to be kind of forward-leaning as well. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that said that they were available. I'm hoping we don't have to do anything. This is not an official alert. We're not telling employers, family, we're not paying bills for the rest of the month. Nothing. This is all a contingency plan in the event the assets that have been assigned get overrun, and it won't take much to do that because of the planning that was or was not done for this event.
A little bit more on that. When I was in Frederick, 1st of August, for that training that we're going to do in Michigan, they were preparing then. I was talking to one of the people. Each city was divided amongst one individual had a different city: Washington, New York, and Philadelphia. At Frederick, doing the prep. And I was talking to one gentleman. They were already up to 500 people listed that were going to be deployed for these events. And now it sounds like it's sort of manifested because of the threat. Now, 500 people, throughout the whole system of 5,000, that's only, 10%. But think of what's going to happen when people start having family emergencies, they get sick, they have accidents, things like that. So there is a possibility, even though we're not on call, again, like Rick said, that we are going to go, but there's already 500 people in this system going to these events.
Yeah, and let's take a look, see at your Hurricane Center. 3 in the Atlantic right now. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much stuff going on. Look at the fires out west. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. The earthquake last night off of Chile, 8.3. So, you know, I mean, and this is every day, but right now it just seems like there's a lot of stuff all cropping up. And our system has 6,500 folks. We can only get stretched so far, and honestly, the system is prepared for three different mission fronts, and that's it. And that's with 2 rotations through on a full scale. 3 full scales simultaneously. That would be 3 events with the teams rotated through twice, and we're already back to original team rotation again, just like Katrina.
Wait a minute, though. Rick said about the three mission sites, you know, the site in California, site in Texas, and the big sites in Frederick. Frederick's got 15 caches. Texas has 2 caches. California only has 2 caches. So how far does 2 caches go? Not very far, does it? So Frederick is going to get slammed. If something, you know, like the forest fires, if that evolves even bigger, and they call in the, you know, federal, the medical response teams, how far is them 2 caches going to go in California? They're not going to go very far.
Well, the DMATs out there are actually state teams too, so they're already in the field.
And it's like any other business. We've cut, we've cut, we've cut, we've cut. We are service-oriented people, are we not? We're committed to service. Everybody in this room, on your regular work jobs, you are committed to service to the public. Just like we are as a team. We are committed to the service of the public of this United States. So.
And I'm going to close with, and I'm going to take Bill's question too. You saw my email regarding tonight, and talking about accountability, and talking about the code of conduct. Going forward, 2 rosters a year, there's going to be separation from service. And that's coming from HQ. Yes, sir. Okay. Does anybody really have to go shake the hand with the president or tap a kid?
We only got 10 more minutes to vote. I'm going to just do a few things on the ops side. It's 8:45. What about your child? And how long is that going to last? A minute? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously general consensus, and it's Rick's call if you want to do that.
Well,
or we can push it.
I only have one last thing, and that's I just need to talk about rostering, because again, the rules are changing, and as far as us being employees, the rules of employment are being spelled out in the code of conduct, and I'm being held accountable for it, and this team is being held accountable. And looking at the accountability ledger and that we log, we have multiple people on our team that haven't rostered in well over 2 years, and that is no longer going to be tolerable or acceptable, because we are being held accountable to have a team that's made up of employees, not volunteers, who are rostering to deploy our mission ready. So as you are looking, the calendar is going to be coming out for 2016. We talked about this at the beginning of 2015. I want you to look at the calendar, and I want you guys to really be thinking and planning ahead so that you can pick your 2 months that you're going to roster. Because if you don't roster, it's not the employment with NDMS and Health and Human Services will come to an end, and it will not be voluntary on your parts. They're going to force termination. Right? And everybody that's here, and there's only a few people that I'm really talking about, and I don't see any of those people really sitting. But I just want you guys to all, I don't want it to be a surprise to anyone when we go, hey, look at, because I'm reaching out to folks now because there's a lot of people have a lot of situations that have resulted in them not being able to roster. I'm having one-to-one discussions. We're giving absolutions, and we're recommitting ourselves to more active participation going into 2016. But honest to God, it really is. We haven't been able to roster a team, and that was another one of the things we were going to go over tonight. But I have the report card for this team since October of last year, which is when we stepped down from a Type 1 to a Type 2 team. And we have not rostered a full team one time in the last year. Elisa, stand by a second. I want everybody to hear this. I want to be crystal clear on this. This team has not rostered a full team roster in 1 year. Okay. We want to keep a team. If Ohio 1 DMAT is important to you, and we truly are a familial team, I think it's up to the people here that are committed to start talking to the other people that you don't necessarily see sitting next to you on these meeting nights, and who you see on the list that when the emails go out that aren't responding to the availability email 4 times a year, and having frank discussions with our family. Because if we do not start producing a fully rosterable team 4 times a year, we're running the risk of losing the team. Washington is scrutinizing. That's why they're collecting all this data. They spit out the data sheets, OH-1, right there it was, the number of positions that we had vacant, what positions those were, and who we backfilled them from. We're being watched like a hawk. Every team is. And it was stated when we were in Arizona, for the teams that can't get it together and get this done, the teams are going to go away. And you know what? This team has a long and illustrious history. We have a great aggregate of committed people here. We have lives, we have jobs, but we came here as federal employees. We have federal IDs. You answer to a master in Washington. They pay money for us to be on the team. And I know I'm talking to the wrong crowd here, so don't think I'm trying to zero anybody. But this is what I'm having to deal with on nearly a daily basis now with Washington, because they are scrutinizing this more and more all the time. And my commitment to this team was established years ago when I walked on as a staff nurse. And everybody here has that moment when they walked in the door and became a part of OH-1. And we all have history here for the most part. We have a few new people here, but you know what? We've been training, we've been doing stuff, we've been out the door. For those that haven't been out the door, I'm going to be contacting individuals who've been on the team more than 6 months and have not rostered. And I'm going to give them options. And we're either going to start rostering or we're going to start training. Because right now we can't hire. We have key positions we need to hire into, guys. We need docs. We need nurse practitioner PAs. We need some nurses. We have a list of docs. We have a list of a great 36, 37 people that have stayed interested in joining this team during the freeze, which has lasted 3 years. We've stayed in contact with them. They've stayed in contact with us. Some people that are passionate, they want to get on the team. They want to roster. They want to deploy. They have the fire burning in their guts. We can't bring them on. Type 2 team is capped at 83 personnel. We have 83 personnel. I can tell you we have 8 people that don't roster. I can't bring, as a commander, I cannot submit to hire. I can't encourage anybody to get on Jobs USA and fill out an application when jobs are posted because we are maxed out. And, the team is going to pay the price for this ultimately, because if we can't build up a roster, okay, and we know we have key slots that we need to fill, okay, we need docs, we need mid-level PAs. Want to switch some people around. Want to take Andy, put him into IT. Okay? We have a lot of stuff we want to do with the team. Can't do any of it. We have people that don't support us. So we have to change that. And I think it can't just be coming from me as the team Wazoo and the TLG and the mentors. I think it needs to start coming from each of you guys to your family, and coworkers. You know, so when the email goes out for accountability and you see all these people that haven't responded and you have a list that's that damn long, that's a problem. Especially when rule number 1 is, you know you have to give your availability a month in advance. Why should anybody have to chase anybody? Shouldn't. You know, and I think it might just be, and the mentors are burnt out. I'm going to tell you right now, the mentors are burnt out. It's been tough on them. There's no thank yous. The only gratification they have is the fact that, you know, they take pride in trying to help a core group of people that is assigned to them get their work done. You know, it's a thankless job. There's no pay involved, and they're taking time away from their families and their job and their recreational free time to do it. You know, you shouldn't have to do that. So just be thinking. In 2016, I would really like to have a renaissance in 2016 and have everybody have that schedule and plan your year out and plan when you're going to roster and try to make that happen. And I know things come up, and I know things just come out of the blue that prevent us from doing stuff, because it happens to me too. We can have those discussions at that time, but you can't go a whole year and not roster. You can't do it. We're not going to have a team. OH-1 is going to vaporize. It's vaporizing right now. We've had a year. We haven't been done it. We're allowing it to happen. And we want to keep what we have. We have to change it. We have to change the behaviors of some of the people on the team, or we have to help those people leave so that we can bring in new people to replace us. I'm not going to be around here forever. I mean, we got some long teeth, okay? And honest to God, you know, I mean, this makes you tired, having to chase and fight the fights that we have to fight to attempt to save face. And here's the other side of the coin, because I don't think you guys understand what it takes when we don't build a roster. Okay? Kathy, she sends everything out. Reply, real simple. Hit reply and say, yes, I'm available, or no, I'm not. It's really pretty brainless. But many people can't do it. But then what happens is she sends it out again. She sends it out again. Then we release the Kraken. We call it the Kraken. We get the mentors going. And the mentors get a few more people to reply, but then it's break time, because the roster has to be submitted by the 15th. Okay? We hold out as long as we can. Well, hang out. I just need 2 more days to get word back from my boss. Should have done that on the front side. So what happens then? I wait as long as I can, and then guess what? I give up my whole damn weekend reaching out to teams all across the country to get people to backfill our team so we get a team that goes out the door. It's the first time I failed. We were not able to submit a roster completed even with backfill this month. I'm embarrassed to hell. I really am. I'm embarrassed. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The reason that we've been carrying them is because there has not been a process. And what we've done, and let's just roll the calendar back to Dave leaving. Okay, so it's been, 3+ years. All right. So Dave left. There was a reality shock that hit a lot of people here, and it wasn't pretty. It was a baptism by fire, and I've been deputy with him for a few years, and I've been a chief for a few years here, and it sucked. And we realized that we had succumbed to a mentality in Washington that was all about building these super uber teams. And we did it. We did it well. We stacked. We got people sitting right here, you know, that came on during those times that are, Jesus, I mean, you guys have been fundamentals. We've gone on deployments. We've done some really great stuff. But we had a whole bunch of people, because they had a pulse. Okay? They were vertical and taking nourishment, that we hired. And they weren't. There was screening. There were interviews with the command staff, but we did not exercise as much jurisprudence as we should have or could have, because we were being driven by numbers. So we loaded the team up with a lot of people. And a lot of these people were here just to get a card, because that's all they've ever done. They got a card. And I have honestly spent the last 3.5 years with a chainsaw cutting wood. And we've had a lot of attrition. We transferred a very large number of people to NDMS-1, which was NDMS Hell. We're not recording it. It was NDMS Hell. That was for those that, because there wasn't a process. Because, the attorneys have to see it, and HR has to see it. And I can tell you, I've had to deal with some of those situations here as of late. And the system is still not simple because there's so many agencies involved. But we moved from 100 and some people down to 83 in this period of time. And we've had people come on, and we've had people go off. Still have that number of 83. We have to now, and it's been our charge, but now we have to clean our house. And there's certain things that I have to do, certain things that Kathy and the TLG, we've got the mentors gearing up with some paper trails, because I just can't randomly go, hey, you know what? I haven't seen you in a meeting in a year and a half according to this, and you haven't rostered in 2 years. You know what? Don't let the door hit you where God split. You can't do that. But we have an accountability roster. And we're documenting every month. When we're on call, okay, when Kathy sends out that first email, accountability, or are you available? We're tracking who responds and when. We've got a list of, we're color-coded, so we know if you respond immediately. We know if you don't respond at all. We know if we got to chase you with the mentors. The mentors are actually documenting how many times they reach out by text, phone, and email to get a person to respond. This is what we have had to go to. But this gives me an HR stack. Okay, so this is where we're at now. I'm at that point now where, of course, it's being held. The gun's being held in my head as commander of the team. The shotgun's being held on our team because the attention is drawn to us that we've hired people that don't deploy, they don't roster. We do have all of our training done. Okay, our mandatory training is done, and we've documented that well. And the people that didn't do it, they're gone. Okay? But going forward, we're building piles, and when I have an adequate pile on an individual, and I've had the discussion and given them the opportunity to change their behaviors and their ways, and they've chosen not to, then they'll be terminated. And that's where we're going. That's what I'm in the process of doing, and it's been something that we've been working on for well over a year with the team leadership group and the mentors, really trying, and Kathy building, and Lauren too, building the accountability tracking system that we have for the regular team and for MacBook. So it's not an easy thing to do because it's a human resources Office of General Counsel issue anytime you go to separate someone from service. I've learned how to do it quite well, and I'm just in the process now of acquiring more information and data so that I can do what needs to be done to save us, because I'm all about saving this team. I have a lot of ownership. I have a lot at stake. I have a lot of years invested, just as Jerry does and Kathy. Everybody sitting here has time invested, energy and passion invested in this team. And for us to be able to communally come together as a family and be able to deploy and do what we do best, to do it with the zeal, the energy that we do it, we have to shake up some of the dead wood, or we have to motivate. And I've been trying to motivate for a long time. And I would have to say that we have actually reclaimed a few people in this past year that I thought were really truly going to be on their way out, and they're back. And that's great. And that's what I would wish that with the majority of the folks. But I know that in reality that's not going to happen. So, when you see that list of people that aren't responding, and you are close with that person, reach out to them. Kick them in the butt. Yes, sir. Well, it's just like somebody says, I'm available the first 2 weeks of the month. That means you can roster for 2 days. Because if you go out on day 2, 14 is going to take you to the middle of the month, and you got to come home. Well, It's all about a readiness thing. Right. It's easier to take people that say they're available like from the 10th to the end of the month. It's when you say my limitation is in the first week, that just takes you completely off the radar because there's no way that you can feasibly, and again, if we could roster somebody for 2 days, okay, but it takes Kathy and I half hour, 45 minutes or longer to replace that person for day 3 through whatever. And if we have to do that multiple times over and over during the course of a rostering month, we've exceeded all of our hours and we're working for free and we're just struggling to try to fill those slots. So it does. It is. And again, we have lives and we have businesses, we have employment, we have family, we have all this stuff. Oh, trust me, I track every bit of it. Kathy has everything down to the day. And honestly, and when I say there's 8 folks, I'm talking about 8 folks who don't do jack shit. Okay, I mean I'm just talking seriously nothing. Because you know what, when you roster and you respond and say you're available, but you're only available for a week. Okay, but you know what, you did attempt to roster. You get credit for that. It's the people that don't respond and that never ever are ever put on a roster, never step forward for a strike team. All they do is they have a card. They have a card. It costs us $1,600 a year to just keep a card in somebody's possession. So that adds up to a lot of money. And considering the fiscal situation that we have in Washington, okay, and it's not going to get any better. Our budget is a flat budget going into our fiscal year 16, which starts October 1st. So, but they've spread our money out even further because NDMS money actually supports a lot more things other than NDMS, and we'll save that for another night when I can figure out how this chart works, and I'll show you where all our money goes. Because we don't get all the money we're budgeted for. NDMS pays for partially contributes to the Secretary's Operating Center. There's a whole bunch of stuff that gets paid for. So, it's we're caught between a rock and a hard place in the fact that we're flat. We took a 20% reduction last year, and we took a 20 plus a 10 the year before that, and we're still paying an average of $1,600 per person to stay on, be active in NDMS. And that's why we reduced from the 10,000 down to where we are now, whether that number be 5,500 or 6,500. For every penny counts because we're trying to scramble to get it. I get it. I get it so well. Rostering is if my situation was different and I was an employee instead of an employer, I'd be struggling to roster. I know I would. I mean I understand. Some of us it's a little easier for us to roster than others. But if you have to divide your months up, just looking forward. Like I said, if you're not available till the 10th of the month or the 12th of the month, it's much easier. Actually, it's doable to stick you in a roster. But if you say you got to be back by the 14th, well, hell, then you got 1 day. Because if you went out on day 1, you'd have to be back on the 14th or the 15th. You have somebody for those other 28 days. So when you're looking at your scheduling and trying to slot and balance your time, if you're going to stay on the team and you want to deploy and do this stuff, then and you can't do a full month. If you can do a second half of the month, if your limitation is going to take you out of the first week, even the 2 weeks, that's fine. That works. If you're saying that you only have 10, you can only available for 14 days. You're getting the credit for responding, and you're getting the credit for making yourself available, but you still aren't a usable asset. So it really is juggling schedules and trying to make it work. And I know, with 83 people, it's so difficult. And even with key positions that we need to have filled, that we can't fill, I don't see it changing anytime soon, unless we get some people to either get themselves motivated and participate or leave so that we can put people in those positions that we'll fill it. But no, no, no. Right. We have a pool of almost 40 people. They're biting at the bit, and they have been for 3 years. So what we're doing right now, and we posted, I told you the freeze was being lifted, and the first thing that opened up were positions. We couldn't hire any new positions because we have 83 people. So, but what I was able to finagle and work through was that we were able to do merit promotions. So we had Jay McNeil apply in for a merit promotion. He's been on the team a long time. He's been a doctor on the team for a long time. He's working at a pretty low pay grade, so we got him bumped up. And cyborgs are coming. But you know, we have other positions that are coming up on Jobs USA right now. It doesn't mean anything to us. I was all excited, thinking, "Oh, great!" You know, I begged, I pleaded, I groveled, I crawled, I needed chapstick and knee pads by the time I left Arizona, guys. Let me tell you, it was pretty ugly. But I didn't win. I don't take losing well, and so I followed up with a couple emails, and I wrote a letter to Dr. Garrett after I got home even, and it is what it is, and they're not going to give us any options. We either have to work with what we have to work with, or clean it up, bring in some new folks. The bottom line is that our first year was dismal. Now, the reason is we have one mental health person, Dr. Lutz. He's chair of the department. He can't roster 4 times a year. So that means, you know, and honest to God, he's got kids, you know, that are active in sports. You know, I mean, he's a go-to guy. He's real active. He's got a lovely family. He do lots of stuff. Plus, he has a very busy work schedule. You know what? The fact that he even submits and says I can roster for 10 days in a period is just miraculous as far as I'm concerned. But we don't have a backup. There's no number 2 for mental health. We don't have a quote-unquote safety person. We have, okay. But you know, we've to really truly. I mean, we have an active slot there, and the criteria for that job description. Christ, you got to be a full-time risk manager, safety OSHA guy. Theoretically, I mean, honest to God, to look at the job position, it was crazy. But we don't have. We've had people in the wings. We can't hire. We have nurse practitioners and PAs in the wings. We have docs in the wings. I mean, some serious hardcore clinicians that want to get on this team. Can't bring them on. So we're caught between a rock and a hard place. Because on one side, it's like, oh shit, we can't build a roster. 2, we don't have the people to build a roster with in certain key positions. Yes. I have approached them from several different directions. From a motivation perspective, from a reality perspective, this is what you haven't done, and this is what you have done. And asked what the interest is to remain on the team. Again, too, I have certain criteria that I have to stay within under federal HR stuff. So the discussions are tiered, and they're pretty focused. And ultimately, my last discussions have been, did you submit a letter of resignation? Well, I'm a dirty, rotten son of a bitch for doing that. I was told that on more than one occasion. It is what it is. But yeah, you know, I mean, it's short of, I mean, I could get him on insubordination and call me a son of a bitch. You know, I mean, and I can tell you right now, the office of OGC would step on that and wouldn't let us do anything except stick a letter of reprimand. I don't know. I'm frustrated. I really am frustrated because I've been a manager in a lot of different positions, a lot of different companies, and institutions, and this is the first time I've ever really had my hands tied and not been able to do what needs to be done to maintain the solvency of Well, they're telling me I need to build my file and I need to separate them. See, it all comes back to me. But prior to this year meeting, I wasn't empowered. There was no process. Like I said, we transferred people to NDMS1. That was the only solution they had because there was no HR policy and procedure that had been vetted by the Office of General Counsel that would legally allow for separation of anybody from service. So we shoved a whole lot of people into NDMS1, and they just kind of went away because they weren't able to do mandatory training, and so therefore they were actually eliminated in the grand purge of the last 2 years. But there was no HR policy procedure in place for us, so they never really they held the team commanders accountable, but they weren't really putting the pressure on the commanders until this year when I was in Arizona. All of a sudden, okay, HR's there and they're giving a 3-hour presentation on how to do this stuff, and then they're going, okay, it's up to you. We give you the team, we give you the time, we give you the money, and you have the resources. You make it work. If it doesn't work, you need to fix it. If you can't fix it, maybe you need to take some parts out of it and rebuild it. But it's your job, it's your responsibility, and we're holding you accountable. So the pressure comes on, literally falls completely at my seat. And you know, and I don't want it to come across to the team as, well, you know, now I got to be at this chainsaw massacre, because it really shouldn't have to be that. And again, you're talking about the majority of the people on this team, for the most part, are very engaged and are ready to go. It's a very small number, you know. Now the responses to the call-ups sometimes are a little 50-50-ish, and that's something that easily can be remedied with just with a little bit of peer pressure. But you know, as far as the hiring and firing goes, you know, that is something that, you know, that is really truly completely on my plate, and it's not an easy job because honestly, I'm really close with everybody on this team because I'm not deployed with everybody yet. But those, for the most part, there's only a few that I haven't been in the field with, or I haven't developed a very close working relationship with as a part of the team, but also as a friend. And for me to have to change this hat and turn into an employer is a pretty big challenge. Yes. I have. Mhm. Well, you know, and I think we have really taken. I mean, we've kind of gone full circle. We started out going, okay, we were kind of hard asses, and we got to clean this house. We got to clean this up. Try to get things going. Then it was like, you know what? You get more flies with honey. And really, honestly, I didn't want to lose that whole family feel to the team. You know, I mean, it is a business, and we're going to lose the whole team, and that's why I'm really sitting here now in front of you guys saying, you know, it's going to have to be ugly. It's going to have to get ugly for us to survive because we haven't met the expectations that were set for us by Washington. That's correct. That's right. Well, and well, you know, it's encouraging to get a little bit of support because I've gotten pretty weary here recently, and I know what the task is at hand, and you know, Jared knows how I feel. Wojo, you guys know how I feel. I mean, I look at this team as an extension of the family and a true family unto itself. And I'm not willing to sacrifice it. Jerry, are you ready? Are you willing to sacrifice it at this point yet? Negative? Is anybody here ready to throw it out? I mean, I'd like to keep the baby, get rid of the bathwater. So, you know, I'm sorry we kind of ran over and stepped on the education thing tonight, but I think this is important, and I think we all have a vested interest in how we proceed together as a group. And I think that we need more policing from within the ranks. I am preparing to do what I have to do. Like I said, I've had some pretty nasty phone calls, and I've gotten a couple of shitty emails here in response to calls and stuff that I've sent out. You know, that just makes it a little easier for me, because all you got to do is just start talking about my familial heritage, and you don't want to piss off Canadian. So at any rate, I thank all you guys for what you do, and there's no one sitting in here right now that is not completely 150% dedicated to this team. I want you to know the scrutiny that we're under, and I can't reiterate enough to you guys that I understand why we can't always roster individually. I'm just asking and imploring each of you to help me spread the word throughout the team, to try to motivate individuals to step forward and at least do their basics. I would be happy to get a month out of every member of the team, because you know what, between it, we could do 4 rosters that way. And you know what? The thing of it is, if you look at the team, when we get requests for specialty stuff, boom, we've got them. 4th of July, you got 17 paramedics. We came up 3 shy because 2 people had stuff committed for the holiday already. You know, when they ask for specialty nurses, when they ask for docs, they ask for medics, they ask for this and that. You know what? The reason they call us is because we're always able to produce. You know, it's just our month, our 4 times. That's our bugaboo. So if you can help motivate, if you can help with your teammates, everything's appreciated. Understand that, you know, the numbers are going to get a little shaky here real soon. And, you know, the code of conduct thing is a commitment. We've already made, the people in this room have already made the commitment. There's just those in our midst who have not. And, you know, we're all going to pay dearly for their procrastination. So, you know, I don't want to dwell on it any more than what we've already had to talk about. But it's just, this is real. This is real world, guys. This isn't. You know, I had a bad dream, and this is what it looked like. This is real world, and if we don't change the ways of some, and then we're gonna be on the short end of the stick, and it won't take a long time. I'm already subject to a counseling session for our year of inability to roster. But you know what? I'm ready for that one. I've got my little presentation ready. So they're gonna hit me, and I've got a PowerPoint ready for them. Bam, bam, bam. I'm gonna show them what we could do and couldn't do because of the limitations of the freeze. I can defend the first year. My job will be in jeopardy if we can't pull it together during fiscal 16. I'll be out of that. Anything anybody want to add? I mean, this is open mic discussion time. Thoughts, opinions, input. I mean, now's the time to talk about it. Yes, sir. No. If we limit in that scenario, we would be able to fill our key positions back up and add into our sub keys. So, you know, you have the docs, mid-levels. We also have safety and IT. Those are our base. We're stacked well with nurses. We're stacked well with medics. But that's where our Achilles heel is, are those positions right there. Mental health. So if those 8 people left, you know what? We can fill fill those 8 positions. We can submit, and when those rotations come through on those jobs, we can hire. But until we're below that 83, they can have mental health next month, and I'm just holding my breath, hoping, praying to God they don't throw mental health in there next month. Because until we're below the 83, we can't hire. We need second mental health. We need 2 or 3 or 4 of these docs that are in line that want to join the team, that are biting at the bit, that are ER trauma flight guys and girls. We need these nurse practitioners and PAs. So, it just really boils down to the reality of we either motivate those that we have or we have to clean. Well, I hate to end on a bad note. Anybody got a good joke? We need a good joke. Anybody got a good dirty joke? Little Johnny fell in a mud puddle. Blah, 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 blah. No, I didn't. Wah, wah, wah. Rim shot. Thank you guys for coming. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your input, discussions. Remember, we love you.
Those were 6. Oh, shit.
Already took care of here. We've been having